Hello everybody, this is Mr. Yan, and in this video I'm going to be guiding you through lesson 8.3a, Find the Quadrilateral. First, let's start by reviewing 4 of the types of quadrilaterals we've learned about. First one on the left here is a parallelogram, and that is a quadrilateral with opposite parallel sides. So what that means is this bottom side here has to be parallel to the top side here. Those are one pair of opposite sides. And you can tell that they're parallel by the way they are marked. They both have this arrow. And then this left side is parallel to this right side. Those are opposite sides and they're parallel because you can see they both have these 2 arrow marks. That's to show that they're parallel. The other type of quadrilateral is a rectangle, and that's a quadrilateral with 4 right angles. You can also think of it as 4 congruent angles because all of the angles are equal to 90 degrees. And those 4 right angles are marked here. The other type of quadrilateral is a rhombus, and that's going to be a quadrilateral with 4 congruent sides. All of the sides are the same length, and that's marked by each of these hash marks. Since every side has 1 mark through it, that's showing that they're all congruent. And the last is a quadrilateral with 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles, and that's a square. So it's kind of like when you combine a rectangle and a rhombus, then you get a square. For this lesson, let's also review what the perimeter is. The perimeter of any figure is the total length around the figure. So imagine if you took your pencil and you just traced the total outline of this quadrilateral, and the total distance that your pencil travels to get around, that's the perimeter. To calculate the perimeter, all you have to do is add up the side lengths of all the sides. So for this figure, we would start with one side, which is 4.3, add it to the next side, which is 7.6, and the next side, and then the last side. And so I add these all together, and I'm 20.8. So the total length or the total distance around this figure is 23.8 units. Okay, let's put these concepts into practice and we'll do example number 1 together. So it's a parallelogram. So we're going to start. What is the definition of a parallelogram? Well, if you don't remember, let's go back to our notes. It's a quadrilateral with opposite parallel sides. So I can say a quadrilateral with opposite parallel sides. And then the next part B, it's saying make a parallelogram on the graph by connecting 4 points. So we're looking at this graph here, and there's more than 4 points, but I have to choose 4 of them that I can connect to make a parallelogram. And remember, I'm looking for opposite parallel sides. So for a parallelogram, I want to look for what lines can I start to connect to get parallel lines. So you'll notice that, okay, well, if I connected this point to this point, those 2 right there, and I can make a parallel line here by connecting this point and that point. So if those 2 sides are parallel, I think I can then use these 2 points and these 2 points to make a parallelogram. So to do that, you can do this work by printing it out and taking a picture of it, or you can do it on the computer. If you're doing it on the computer, I want you to use what's called the Polyline Tool. To get to the Polyline Tool, you're going to go here, where it says line, click the little arrow, and then you can scroll down to find this one here, Polyline. Once you select that tool, all I have to do is click the points that I want to make the shape. So I'm going to go here to here to here, to there, and back. And you can see that I've made a parallelogram with opposite sides parallel. You can leave your parallelogram like this, or if you want to get fancy with it, I like to do fill color as transparent. Let's choose, I don't know, I'm gonna go purple. I can make it thicker too. And there's my pretty parallelogram, just like that. Okay, the last part is where you have to find the perimeter of the quadrilateral. So remember, to do that, we have to find the lengths of all of the sides. You can determine what you want as side 1 and side 2 and side 3 and so on, because in the end it doesn't really matter because you're going to be adding them all up. This side here on the left, since it's vertical, all I have to do is count the units. 1, 2, 3 units. So we'll say side 1 is 3 units. Let's call this opposite side here side 3. That can also be 3 units. Now side 2, let's make side 2 this top side. I can't just count the units because it's going diagonally, but I can use the Pythagorean Theorem to calculate this distance like you did last week. So I'm gonna take my Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so C is gonna be this length, and I can think of this like a right triangle where one side is 1 and the other side is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 units this way and 1 unit up. So the two legs of the right triangle are 1 and 4. Okay, so then I know that C squared is equal to 1 squared is 1 times 1, so just 1. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. So I know C squared is equal to 17. So C is equal to, let's get the square root. C is equal to the square root of 17. There we go. Also, if you just prefer to write out like square root of 17, that's fine. Now, because we're going to be adding all of these numbers together, I actually do want you to round and find a decimal for what the square root of 17 is. So you will need to use a calculator for that. You can use one on your phone, or if you have a calculator, or just on the computer is fine. I just did a Google search for calculator, and this is what I got. Square root, click that button, 17 equals 4.1231, blah, blah, blah. Let's round it to the nearest hundredths place. So that's the second number after the decimal. So I want 4.12 as my answer. Let's bring that back. So side 2 is going to be 4.12. That's that length. Okay. And then side 4 is this bottom side. Now I can see that it's the same dimensions as the top side, so I don't need to show all of my work here because I can see it's the same number of units. So I know that the bottom side, side 4, is also going to be 4.12. Okay, so then now for my perimeter, I have to add up all the sides. 3 plus 4.12 plus 3 plus 4.12. You can check on a calculator if that's helpful. Add them all together and we get 14.24. There we go. That's the perimeter. Okay, so we just did that with a parallelogram. You're going to do a similar exercise with a square, a rhombus, and a couple more. One thing I do want to point out is that for each of these puzzles, if you have some difficulty finding the parallelogram, notice here, if you need a hint, see slide 7. Because what I have for you on the very last slide, on slide 7, I've highlighted 2 of the points that you're supposed to use in red. So that can get you started if you're stuck. All right. And so with that, I will say goodbye and good luck.